Welcome on in. I'm excited to jump on here in the podcast room. Normally we have a lot of things going on. We got the morning stretch, we got Michigan Unsolved. But when you come across a story that is too good that you cannot not talk about it even more, you got to use our resources that we have, which is this podcast room, which is absolutely amazing. I'm Karsten. Along with Caleb Steensma, who is our morning photographer. I wanted to bring him in because we're going to talk about that in a second. Also, the president of the South Bend Cubs, Joe Hart. Joe, so good to see you.
Hey, good morning. Great to be here. Thank you very much.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. So just to give a little recap, my boss, let's just call him a boss. He'd like that. Mike Pease, no, he really is our assignment manager. And he said, Christine, I got a story for you. And I want you to go do a story on this girl named Hope. And she's going to be running the bases at Four Winds Field. And I don't know what is going on. I've lived here for 10 years. And for some reason, I had no idea that you guys did this initiative with Beacon. And so I wanted to learn more. Well, my first step was meeting Hope, and you're going to meet her in just a second. The second was seeing if I could convince you, Joe, to come on here with me, spend your morning talking about this initiative. So if you could kind of start from the beginning, when did you guys start doing this, and what is this?
Yeah, for us, it's called Home Run for Life. This is something I want to say it's been close to a decade now that we've been doing this. And quite honestly, we got the idea from one of the teams in our league, the Dayton Dragons, had been doing this. And, you know, every year at the end of the season, we have league meetings where we all kind of share ideas, great things to do in the community. And this is one of the things we saw. And at the time, I was sitting on the Beacon Health Foundation board. So I talked to the folks there like, hey, I think this would be something great to do here in South Bend. And, you know, obviously we got the Children's Hospital here, and it was just the perfect tie-in. So we do about 6 games a year in which the folks at Beacon pick a family and a young child that we get to celebrate that, you know, has struggled with either some health issues or they were, they were preemies. And, you know, on these nights, we give them their chance to be celebrated. We bring them out. We play a video to tell their story. And then what they do is they get to simulate a home run. And what's cool about it is our players, the visiting players, the umpires are absolutely amazing because without them, we can't do it. I mean, we literally stop the game for about 5 minutes. And then the kids get to line up at home plate. We simulate a home run call. We blow the fireworks off the center field building. And they literally get to run the bases, and it's their home run for life because many of these kids will never have the opportunity to play youth sports and experience this. And then, you know, the cool thing is you watch our players give them high fives as they're running around the bases. And then when they get to home plate, our manager, Nick Lavallo, gives them a personalized jersey to welcome them in, and they are a South Bend Cub player from that point on.
Oh my gosh, I absolutely love that. That has to make your heart just feel so good when you see these kids. So we have all types of abilities, right, that come out to the field. So you don't necessarily have to run. I'm assuming you have some kids that do not, correct?
Yeah, we've had some that have gone around in wheelchairs. We've had some where the parents have carried them around the bases. We had one kid a couple years ago. It was the sweetest thing ever. He was in this little Volkswagen van that was a remote control. He sat in it and drove it around the field. And, you know, it's been all different sorts of stories. And, you know, again, some of these were kids that were preemies that were in NICU for a long time that ultimately ended up becoming healthy. There's one particular, his name's JJ. I think he was our first one ever. Him, his mom, and his dad still come out to games. He's playing. He's on one of our foundation travel baseball teams. And, you know, they try to come out every time we do a Home Run for Life just to support the program because they were a part of it and they know what Beacon has done for them. And, you know, again, obviously I kind of had an inside look sitting on the foundation board, but it's amazing. And, you know, you get teared up. I mean, you hear these stories and, you know, there's times I'm down there, you know, standing on the field and, you know, you're fighting back tears because you see what these kids have had to deal with and the struggles that they've had. But when they're on the field, man, they're all smiles. Their family is just really appreciative. And it's a way, one, to not only celebrate the kids, but I think really the other thing is too, it celebrates the doctors and the staff at Beacon. And it truly lets our community know what we have here in South Bend. You know, obviously we hear about, you know, Riley Children's Hospital quite a bit in our community, but this just puts the focus on Beacon and lets our community know that we have great resources here, and
Right.
they're able to take care of them. And, that's a fun part of it as well. And then kind of the last element of this is once the promotion's done and we're coming off the field, Beacon has a ton of volunteers that are here. They pass the bucket if there's a fundraising element as
Aw.
well to help raise money for the Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
So again, we are able to give back, and it's something that's amazing. It's, like I said, I think it's a decade now. We've probably done this for close to 60 plus families, and it's exciting to see. And I'm looking forward to meeting Hope tonight. I can't wait. I mean, it's an
Yes.
inspiration for everybody. And I have 2 young kids, and
Yeah.
You hope you never need to use the Children's Hospital, but it's great to know that it's here if it's ever necessary.
Well, let's not forget, Memorial is a level 1 trauma center. So we have all the big situations coming here. That's why we see med flight so much in this area, because that is the go-to resource. And it was a conversation when I was pregnant, is where are we going to go? And absolutely no knock on St. Joe. We have great hospitals in our area.
Yeah.
But the NICU element at Memorial made me want to say, okay, no matter what happens, I know I'm in the hands of some really great doctors. And I know I'd be fine at either one. But hearing these stories, and especially Hope's story too, and again, we're going to run that in just a second, you realize, wow, that's in our backyard here in Michiana. Like, that's incredible.
A lot of times you think, oh man, I got to go to Chicago. I got to go to Indy. No, 10 minutes down the road, we have the exact same thing here. And, I've got to meet a lot of the doctors, and a lot of times when we do these nights, the nursing staff comes out, and it's just fun to see them here as well. And it's an amazing thing. And, we're proud to be a part of it. And, I love to be able to do this for the families and the kids that get to participate.
All right, let's get to Hope, because I want you to see her first here, and then I want to talk to you about her. I want to bring Caleb in because he was boots on the ground with me with this story, and I just want to hear more about this experience. So here we go. We're going to learn a little bit more about Hope.
Spunky, fun, energetic, adventurous. You can feel Hope's spirit as soon as she walks through the door.
She brightens up the world, and yet she goes through a lot of hard things.
And that's putting it lightly. When Hope was born, doctors thought she would only survive a few days. A week later, she was still alive, but that was just the beginning for Melissa and Tim, who already had 4 other children.
Whenever you laid her down, she couldn't breathe, and so we had to keep her upright. And then with tube feeding her, you couldn't keep food in her because if she slightly moved, it would just all come back out.
2 things became the focus. 1, keeping Hope alive. The other, figuring out what was wrong. Living in Montana meant driving insane distances for resources, 90 miles each way for therapy, 8-hour trips to the closest children's hospital in Salt Lake City, flights to Seattle, then Denver, testing gene after gene.
What we didn't realize was medical diagnosis was like the key to unlocking, knowing what was going on with her body.
It wasn't until they moved here to Michiana that they finally found answers. They learned of a disease called Spritz-Goldberg syndrome, a condition so rare, less than 50 people in the entire world have it. Hope is one of those people.
The function of the cells doesn't know quite what to do. Everything rips and tears very easily. Her intestinal lining doesn't stay together. Like, she's had 27 hernia repairs. She's full of mesh and pins.
Some bones are missing, others didn't form right. Some organs are in the wrong place. The only treatment, surgery.
She's very active, but we are like her bodyguards, keeping her safe.
Dr. Fulkerson was amazed that she could walk and stand and use her hands, because he was like, can you do this, can you do this? Because the way her spinal cord was being pinched off. He said a hard fall could have paralyzed her or killed her. So if we hadn't moved when we moved and had the care that we had at the right time, our lives would be different right now. So we're thankful.
Thankful to have found a team right here in Michiana, willing to wrap their arms around a family that has never lost hope.
There really is no roadmap with her condition, but she keeps surpassing everything that people say she can't do or think she can't do. With her drive and determination, we just, want to support her and love her and help her to live the best life that she can.
Okay, I absolutely love Hope. I'm obsessed with Hope. Like, she's so sweet. And so there you go. There's Hope. Now you got to see her. What are your thoughts?
She shoots baskets better than I do. I can tell you
Right?
that. Yeah, absolutely. And
That's so true.
the thing that really stood out in that video is the number of videos like where she's smiling.
Right?
That's just an inspiration because I got to be honest. I don't think I could be
No.
that way myself. And
Same.
smiling, she seems happy. And as I was reading up more on the story the other day, I understand that it's like there's only 50 cases in
Right.
the world of what she's
Yeah.
been diagnosed with. That's just unbelievable to me. But yeah, seeing those stories and seeing the photos was it was exciting. And yeah, she definitely shoots hoops better than I do.
Yeah, Caleb, what are your thoughts? You were there.
Yeah, just she is, the youngest of 5 kids.
Yes.
And just how the family has kind of come together from it. I know, Christine, you talked about that this morning, but that's the biggest thing, is these are situations sometimes that could break up a family. You could have envy inside the family. I know they talked about how, they've had stuff planned before and they've had to cancel it, and just having their other kids grow up in that life of, hey, we might have something planned even though it's special, but you never really know. And the kids, have always accepted it, and they said that each kid has a different role in the family for what they do for her when she, is sad or happy, just different emotions. And I think that's the biggest thing is, even though this has happened to this family and they've had to go through this for 14 years, they're still strong, they're still happy, they're blessed more than anything. They talked about that before.
Yeah.
Of how they are, she was a miracle baby from the start of the pregnancy and everything. So yeah, it's just... And just having the smile, it's amazing.
The hard part is I want to fit every single ounce of this story in a package and run it on air, but apparently they won't give me 30 minutes to do that. I don't know why. That's weird. But yeah, what Caleb's referencing to, Joe, you probably didn't know this. Maybe you did, but this is how she got her name. Is early on in the pregnancy, they thought that Melissa was having a miscarriage. And
I did not know that.
Yeah. And so then they went in and they found a heartbeat. And they said that Tim at that moment was just like, I think it's going to be a girl and I want to name her Hope. Right. And if that wasn't a terrifying start through the pregnancy, they went in to get a checkup and they couldn't find a heartbeat. And I think they said they tried 4 different Dopplers to find a heartbeat. They couldn't find it. So naturally they go to the hospital, right? Mm-hmm. Immediately they find a heartbeat and they're like, what? Like, it was just the weirdest thing. And they thought, oh my gosh. And so there's just so much to this story that I'm so happy that you're featuring her, because I just love that this isn't a sad story. She's kicking butt. Like they said that they have to hold her back. Like, she wants to experience everything. And, Joe, you're going to love this because you know me and you know that I love to talk. So someone has to put me in place beside my husband. I was there and we were chatting with her parents, and this was after the interview, so we'd been there a while, and Hope walks up to me and she just goes, and I was like, okay, girl. Like, I just loved it because
awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. I like died. Caleb was like, she told you. And she was so excited to show her parents one of the rooms that she stayed at the hospital that it was just like, okay, come on. You're the problem. I want to go. Let's go. And it was so cute. It was really sweet.
Yeah, tonight's going to be exciting, and I definitely look forward to meeting her mom and dad, her siblings, and tonight's about hope. Tonight's really going to be about hope, and it's and it's funny because you've over the years having done this, you see a lot of these kids, and I think honestly for myself it would be, oh, woe is me, and these kids aren't.
No.
They are living life to the fullest, and they are just happy, and they and obviously a lot of that comes from their families and the support that they have, and I think that's outstanding. And again, as much as I'm looking forward to meeting Hope, I'm looking forward to meeting her parents and the rest of the family, because like you said, they're all in it together, right. And without the support of the family, you can't do what you do.
Okay, so tickets still on sale. What is it, 7:05 pitch? Is that what's going on? What time does she run?
Yep. Tonight's 7:05 first pitch. Gates open at 5, and then we normally do this in the middle of the 3rd inning. So, I would say probably around 7:45 to 8 o'clock is typically when this happens. The weather's going to be beautiful tonight. We got fireworks afterwards. I know we're close to 6,000 tickets already sold. So, which is exciting because that's 6,000 people that'll be here cheering for Hope.
Yep.
They get to hear her story as well. And, that's the amazing part. Let's just get the word out and tell people. And we're going to do that tonight. And obviously I appreciate what you guys are doing to share her story. And it's going to be an amazing evening.
Oh, you got it. We love you guys. We love the tiki bar, but we do love you too.
Well, thank you very much.
And, who doesn't love the tiki?
Yeah, who doesn't love the tiki? But and that's the thing. And I think that was the biggest thing when Andrew bought the ball club and I got here 13 years ago is we're about community. Yes, we're a baseball organization, but we're so much more than that. And I think we said that from the beginning and we continue to show it. And, again, we're not successful without the great community that we have here. And, we don't take that for granted either. And, I like to thank and just always appreciate that we love Michiana. We love the region and thank you all.
Well, in fairness, I don't love going to Major League Baseball games as much anymore now that we have Four Winds Field. It just feels different. It feels like you're home. It feels like you should be here. So
yeah, absolutely. And I love to hear that. I got friends that say they take kids to Wrigley all the time, and the kids by the third inning are like, "There's no splash pad. There's no inflatables. We'd rather stay at Four Winds Field." And don't get me wrong. I mean, I love the Chicago Cubs. They're our Major League affiliate. But I love to hear when people say they'd rather be at Four Winds Field.
The kids are like, "Mom, Dad, I want a hot dog." And you're like, "You will not. They're $20. How dare you? Sit down."
Exactly.
Joe, thank you for taking the time. It's so good to see you. It's been so long.
It has been.
Too long. Let me know. Yes. I'll have a ballpark Frank anytime you want. I'll be there.
Hey, you let me know. I remember those mornings sitting out there,
good times.
Snow covering the seats. Yeah, we've had some fun times over the years.
I do hear it's going to be a pretty cold, snowy winter this year. So opening day, if there's snow on the ground, I promise you this, I'll be there with you.
Of course it's going to be cold and snowy. We're going to start a $48 million renovation project as soon as the season. The last couple of winters have been very conducive to building, and of course this year we'll get like 3 feet. But yeah, we'll manage it. And I know opening day next year is April the 8th, so I'll have the hot dogs ready. You be out here at 5 a.m. and we'll have breakfast or lunch or whatever you call it, because I know your mornings start much earlier than mine.
It's my lunch.
It'll be breakfast for me, but it'll be lunch for you.
Mark my words. If there's snow on the ground opening day, I'll be there.
Absolutely.
Tell Andrew we say hi as well. We love what you guys are doing over there. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you all very much.
All right. Thanks, Joe. We'll talk to you later.
You got it. Thank you.
Of course. So, Caleb, you are so quiet. I need you to jump in and chat. Otherwise, people are like, who's this goofy guy sitting here? What are your thoughts about this whole thing? Like, we never get to see your perspective. You are like the guy behind the camera, and you don't ever get the fame. So I want to give you your props here.
Well, I mean, I stuff like this is cool, right? Like, I'm a massive sports fan, and I think that's one thing where sports goes beyond the arena very well is supporting local communities and highlighting children and stories. And, we wouldn't be able to get to tell this story without this partnership with South Bend Cubs and Beacon, right?
Right.
So I think that's what makes it great. But yeah, I mean, just meeting her, it just shows you how thankful I am for my life and just everything that I've had, because yeah, to endorse stuff like that, I couldn't imagine it,
Yeah.
And so to see her and just have a smile on her face and she is a normal kid at the end of the day.
Oh,
right?
Of course.
Like she is. She's funny, just the way she talks to her
so
parents
witty.
At 14.
She knows what she wants.
Yeah, I think like we showed in the video of her, she was shooting baskets in there, but then she saw the other basketball game, Papa shot in the other room, and she was like, I want to go do that.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't want to shoot this basketball.
Absolutely.
I want to go and do something else. So, yeah, no, I think her spirit, the smile on her face, it was awesome to see. It was a great story to tell. I was happy to be able to tell the story. And
yeah.
No, I mean, like I said, it's one of those things where you come back from a story like that and just the takeaways are great of just, it just shows the world and how, for me, thankful for my life and how people like her and her family are warriors to fight through it. I think that's the biggest takeaway I had.
And I think what's impressive to me, too, is you do hear about families when times get tough, especially with your kids, you see that separation. And that's what I was inspired by the most, is this family feels so solid, right? They feel like we got our whole family. It's a big family. They're all together. And to hear that Hope actually made them stronger and brought them together, I just think is absolutely amazing. And I do appreciate it. Like you have, people see a lot of stuff air on our TV and they think that the anchors, the reporters are the only ones that are doing things, but we got a whole crew, including you guys behind the scenes. So you're out there with me shooting this story. I put you through the ringer a lot with like my demands, but I appreciate it because I'm a perfectionist, especially when it comes to telling such a beautiful story like Hope. So I just always think it's important to highlight you guys and give people the visual of us literally sitting in an editing room, me on the floor, you in the chair, literally just going through the right music, the right shots, the right wording, the right everything just to make it flow. And a lot of times, what is the saying? You got to kiss a lot of frogs to find your prince. And that's what happens with like, especially song choices. Not my photographer. My song choices.
Yeah, I mean, let's calm down there.
Where are you going with this? I'm talking.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is one of those things, right? I mean, I think sometimes here too, I think we have that same mindset of like, okay, it just gets done. It shows up on TV.
Yeah.
Where, it doesn't. No. Like,
no.
Literally, I thought this story was going to run this morning for the first time.
Yeah.
And no, it's like come Tuesday, it's like, hey, no, it has to run Thursday
right.
night. So now you have to take this and kind of fit it into what you do and how you do it.
Yep.
So I think that's what makes it, people don't really understand that, right?
Yep.
But it's coming together. A story like this is easier to shoot than others and story easier to tell. Now, the hardest thing was to break it down, right?
Totally. There's so much information, especially all the medical jargon. I'm like, okay, you got to talk to me like I'm a 3-year-old. I have no idea what this means.
No, I mean, like the interview with the parents alone was 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, taking into, that was 30 minutes, and then shooting the B-roll was probably about 25, 30.
There for over an hour, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you go into all those different aspects, and then you have to break it down, and that is very tough to do, especially with a story like this. I mean, just the pictures alone we had,
I know,
over 150 different pictures,
which I love, by the way, which makes our job easier but harder.
No, that's great. Yeah,
easier but harder.
But trying to find the right pictures to fit into the mood, and I had it laid out the way I thought it was, and then it's like, no, Karsten comes in.
Sorry,
and is like,
my
no,
way or the highway, buddy.
But at the end, it works out, right? And I think it is you do have to have that chemistry of how to tell a story and build it together, because there's some people that just write a script, have the editor edit it, and there's no really input or collaboration on it. So no, it was stressful the last 2 days of working with it.
I edited half of it. You're fine.
Well, yeah, because the last time I edited one of your pieces, you yelled at me for the audio with the music, so I'll never do that
I
again.
am such a perfectionist, Caleb. Like, I know it's so annoying. Like, I can't help that I'm so annoying, but I want every single dissolve, every single transition. If your, music is too loud, like, it irks me. Like, because I care so much. It's really a blessing and a curse, if I'm being honest.
No, I mean, look, I'm a perfectionist too in certain ways. Like my biggest takeaway is like I just kind of want to get the piece done, and like I don't tell anybody what it's like until it's done and over with and it airs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but that's what makes stories like this so good is it takes that extra mile to put into it, right? Like, this is the first one we've done of the Home Run for Life, and it just you have to tell a story at the end of the day, and getting it out there, and to people in the newsroom, they look at it as this is 2-minute 30 piece, or the people out there, but it just the time and energy it takes to telling the story. But at the end of the day, it's the way I kind of looked at it, and after I sat back after it was done, was the energy we put in this story, but we're telling an extraordinary story about an extraordinary family at the end of the day and what they've had to endure. So for me in an editing bay for, longer than I maybe wanted to, it's not that bad, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm telling a story about a girl who from the very start has had to have an uphill battle. Yeah. Unlike many people in the entire world. She's one of 50 people.
Less than 50.
Yeah. What's it, like 47 or whatever?
Yeah.
That have it. And then I think the other aspect too with Hope, and it was touched in there, is the first time that they met the Dr. Fulkerson, which was at Riley's, he was amazed that she was able to do the things that she was doing at 3 years old, because you have to have the surgery of the neck and the vertebrae stuff. And he was amazed that she was able to do all the things that she was able to do. Like you would see in the video, her shooting basketballs, throwing cornhole, stuff like that. Like that almost didn't happen.
Well, in fact, I think they said that, you know, the doctor was just shocked in general. And when they said, oh yeah, I think Melissa said when she got up from the chair, he goes, she can walk?
Yeah.
And he was, that's how shocking this was. And then the realization set in of like, okay, we got to get into surgery because any fall, any situation could be either a paralyzed situation or death. So I think that right there is just, I think that story encompasses who Hope is, like such a fighter.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And I mean, it just, like I said, it just shows how strong she is as 14 years old, right?
Yeah.
And just all the stuff that she's gone through. I mean, the different surgeries on her intestines and how that is broken and how the doctor had it fixed and he was like, this will never come apart again.
And then it did.
And 2 weeks later, it's apart.
Well, and I think the thought too of the only, what was the sentence in the package? It was basically the only treatment is surgery. Now wrap your mind around that. It's not Tylenol. It's not a painkiller. It's not physical therapy. It's surgery. That's wild.
Yeah, and then the physical therapy after the surgery.
Yeah.
And then how they, until they moved to the Michiana area, you know, were traveling crazy for the first 3 years of her life.
Yeah.
You know, and then they come here and then they start to get some answers about, you know, her disease and what she has.
Yeah.
And then it kind of, you know, the dad talked about it there. If they wouldn't have moved, that, you know, their lives would be completely different.
And I think there's this element too that we didn't get to touch on in this story because there's just so much, was the advocacy element and having to advocate for your child in general. Like the medical system, right, is difficult in itself, right? So now you have to advocate for a child that has such a rare disease that many doctors you come in contact with have no idea what it is. And so now you're in this situation where you have to advocate for yourself, and that gets hard when you get pushback. So Melissa was saying she took pictures and videos and had to show doctors and say, no, this is happening, because when she would just approach them, they'd say, there's no way that's happening. And so I think what I asked her too was, you know, what would you say to parents about advocacy? And she's basically said it's the difference between life and death. You have to advocate for your child and never giving up on that, because no matter what, you know your child more than anybody else. And the other thing that I thought was really interesting is social media aspect to this story too, which we hear all the negatives about social media, right? But there are positives. And in this case, this family right here was able to spread their wings through social media and find other families across the world that are dealing with this disease that Hope has. And from that, they were able to talk to families who even have kids older than Hope and say, what comes next? What have you guys, what's worked? What hasn't worked? And they were saying that the kids who have this disease at almost the same points in their journey have similar issues with needing to go in for this or that or whatever. And so that has helped them also be able to give those ideas to the doctors when they see them. But you're totally right. Coming to Michiana, finding this team, that was also just another core message is our best friends are the neurosurgeons, physical therapists, you know, all these doctors, right? Which really puts in perspective. And so then to be able to have this core group that continues to see and do procedures on your child, there isn't that, okay, let me fill you in now over the last 14 years. They know, and then they're able to advocate too and say, yes, she can do this. No, she can't do this. And I think that's just so key. There's just so much to this story that we can't fit in. They think 2.5 is long. I'm not joking. We could have done like a 30-minute special on Hope.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's so much, right? And then you had to point it really good at the beginning of the interview we did, where you were like, you have to dumb this down for us, right?
Like help, yeah.
Because you were just like, what's a daily basis look like? And that was a 3-minute answer of like do.
Right, and I'm like, huh?
What?
And
I think that but like physical therapy, I think almost every week I feel like and so there's a picture right there with her and her physical therapist. Like, yeah, these people know who they are.
They're amazing.
You know what I mean? And and just credit to them too, to be able to, and I the mom talked about it sometimes where they brought up stuff about the other kids with the same disease, and the doctor would be like, every case is maybe a little different. So you kind of have that battle too sometimes where
Yeah.
you're like, no, I feel like, so credit to everybody in the situation for, like, at the end of the day, what's best for Hope and how do we continue her life, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing.
She's got a long life to live, that girl. Well, this is fun. I appreciate you jumping on here, giving your perspective. I'm so happy Joe Hart, president of South Bend Cubs, could jump on too to talk about this initiative. As he said, tickets still on sale. First pitch at 7:05.
Yeah, I think 7:05, yeah.
And then she's going to be running in the third inning. So we just cannot wait. But yeah, thanks again for joining me. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay. Until next time.